games. They're now 10-0 at home in the playoffs, even though this was their worst shooting game of the playoffs. By rule, if Cleveland wants to advance to the finals, they're going to have to win here Sunday if they win at home on Friday. Boston hasn't done much to think that Boston can win in Cleveland. As for the hows and whys, we've got an hour to talk about them, and let's begin with Jeff Van Gundy, who joins us. And, Jeff, I understand a young Boston team getting it home, riding the wave of that building and being great, but I don't necessarily understand what accounts for Cleveland's performance in this series on the road. What do you make of that?
Well, they got off to another bad start here in Boston. You know, it's been a series so far of first quarter blowouts, which has put the team behind in a big hole. And then throughout the game, they neither shot well enough nor played like inspired enough basketball to put together a sustained run. And so they find themselves in a hole going back home. And as you said, now they have to win 2 in a row.
You've been consistent throughout that Boston's the better basketball team, but Cleveland is a team that has more veterans, and obviously they've got LeBron James. So if Cleveland is going to figure this out and win those 2 games, what's that look like? What does the path, Jeff, include?
Well, I think it starts with James being great. I thought, he had a game that was very forgettable tonight. He continues to turn the ball over at a high rate. Defensively, not as energetic as we saw in Cleveland, particularly in Game 3. And so he's going to have to be great, but he's got to get some help.
Yep.
Love, I thought, had a good game. Everybody else had a very, very below-average offensive output.
Jeff, appreciate the time. I look forward to watching you all on Friday evening.
All right, take care.
Before we get to Paul Pierce, you can catch all of the post-game press conferences over on ESPN. Are they on ESPN2, Tom? ESPN2? All right, but here's Ty Lue, apparently quite exasperated. I'll buy it.
Front row, Dave.
David Quinn on ESPN. Ty, you guys had a 9-0 run. I think they cut it to 12 in the fourth quarter and then had 4 empty possessions in a row. Was that just missed shots on your part, or going back on it, did you feel like Boston did something to throw you off your game in that moment?
I mean, in that position, in that moment, we're probably playing pretty desperate. But, defensively holding his team with 36% from the field, it was a good job, and we gave up a lot of stuff, like, their speed and their quickness in transition. We didn't get back to low to Jaylen Brown. He got to the free throw line a bunch of times. Terry Rozier, Jason Tatum, we didn't get back, show a crowd. He was able to get to the free throw line. So we had, a lot of mistakes that we could have cleaned up. But, overall, they scored 96 points and shoot 36%. We got to be able to score the basketball.
Joe.
They weren't. Paul Pierce joins us now, and Coach alluded to Jason Tatum. He had 24, 7 rebounds, 4 steals, 2 blocks. The last Celtic to do that in a playoff game was you in 2003. These youngsters are playing at a level higher, Paul, than we're accustomed to seeing young players perform in the playoffs. What do you attribute that to?
I attribute that to Brad Stevens, just allowing them guys to go out there and make the mistakes throughout the regular season. And then when the injury to Kyrie Irving happened, it was just like, what else can he do? He's like, all right, you guys, it's on your shoulders. Jason, it's time for you to grow up. Jaylen, time to grow up. Rozier, it's time to grow up. Y'all getting the opportunity, and they've just thrived with the opportunity. And who would have thought there'd be one game from the finals, especially when Kyrie went down?
The first quarter of their first game, they lose Hayward, then they lose Kyrie in the wintertime here, and you think, how are they going to respond? Well, as you say, they're a game away. But, Paul, you're very familiar with how LeBron James performs when backed into a corner. You had countless encounters with him where the numbers would indicate he's different. The numbers would indicate you see a different LeBron. Do you recall that he's different? Do you recall him playing different?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. When his back is against the wall, he's going to step up. Just like the 2008 Game 7, he came with 45. So they have to be ready for that, just mentally, physically, and just to withstand LeBron's run, because he's gonna leave it all out there. And just like in Game 6, when he was with the Miami Heat in 2012, he came into Boston and put one of his greater games on. So Boston has to be prepared for that, not only in Game 6 if they don't win that game, but Game 7 also in the Boston Garden, because he's done it before. He's went to the Boston Garden and had a tremendous game. So they got to know it's going to be tough to put a LeBron James team out of the playoffs.
But, Paul, just to piggyback what Jeff said, LeBron can't do this on his own. They lost game 2 where LeBron had 42 points. I mean, if the supporting cast does not contribute, I don't care how great LeBron is, I don't believe that they can win without help. Do you feel that way?
Absolutely right. I mean, when the rest of your starters outside of Kevin Love, the rest of your starters only give you 10 points. None of them even had double figures between JR and Tristan Thompson. These guys got to step up. Those are the veteran guys who's been there before. They've been to the finals. They've been down 3-1. So they understand what it takes. They have to help him out more if they don't want to go home in Game 6.
Well, I mentioned you in relation to Tatum. You know that secret sauce. You were able to beat LeBron a couple of occasions in closeout games, but it will be a tall order for this young Boston team, Paul. Appreciate the time and look forward to visiting again throughout the final somewhere, all right?
All right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
SportsCenter on the road is confidently presented by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans.
Much more reaction on the way from Boston. Tim Legler. I think we saw yet another example of poor Cavs defense after we saw an example of great Cavs defense. And
New York with Paul Pierce, Jalen Rose, Chauncey Billups. My name is Michelle. Last night we saw a home court win streak snapped as the Rockets stunned the Warriors. And we'll dive deep into that a little bit later. But first, we got to start with a home court win that's still intact. We got a streak going, ladies and gentlemen. Boston has struggled on the road this postseason, but they are a perfect 9-0 at home at TD Garden. A 10th win would tie an NBA record for most consecutive home postseason victories. But the Celtics know they can't rely solely on the energy of the crowd.
It's exciting to be able to compete at this level. You know, certainly in this venue in front of our fans. At the same time, we have a job to do once we get between those lines.
We're comfortable at home. You know, playing on the road, somebody else's environment, a hostile environment, it's hard. It's tough for anybody, you know, but we got to find a way to do it.
Chauncey, we'll start with you here. Who do you trust more tonight, LeBron or the Celtics at home?
I trust the guy that's been there before, that's done it a lot of times. LeBron James,
A lot of
best player in
times.
the world. Yeah, he's been in this position a lot. Game 5s.
Oh, wow. He's lost the last three. He's
Game
lost the last
fives?
3 Game 5s versus the Boston Celtics. What you mean?
Where's the Boston Celtics?
Yeah. He's lost the
that the
last
only
3 Game
team he used to
5s.
play against?
Well, that's where he got to go tonight. He got to go to the
Are
Boston
you
Celtics.
kidding me? I'm going
That's
with the
where he
best
gotta
player in
go.
the world and the champion. How many champions on your roster, Paul?
We got
All right, that's what I thought. Next question.
We got one not playing. He's not playing. He hasn't won a Game 5 in Boston. I mean, come on now. It has to be the Garden. I mean, that is a special place. There's very few arenas in a league to where you're like, we're going there to play, and you feel kind of intimidated by playing in there. And the Boston
LeBron James is not going to feel intimidated by
No, of course
Boston
he's not.
Celtics.
LeBron won't. Of course he won't.
That's
But-
the question, Paul. It's
Hey,
LeBron James or the Celtics.
Look at LeBron turns the ball over 8-9 times every time he comes to the Boston Garden.
Play-by-play.
Every time he comes to the Boston Garden. I mean, of course you don't trust LeBron, but I don't trust the rest of his teammates. That's the
So
key.
you're
gotta
going with
understand. No, LeBron gonna score 40. He scored 40 in Game 2. Had a triple-double. They can't win
Can you get him to
there.
answer the
I
question?
just don't like it when mom and
I
dad fight.
trust
so it
Boston
makes me go,
Celtics in the Boston Garden.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, so we got a Celtics, we got a LeBron.
Tonight, I'm actually with the truth, Mr. Big
Come
Shot.
on now.
I'm not
And
mad at you.
I think the Boston Celtics, they're a different basketball team at home. They're undefeated this playoff. They scored 15 more points. Their young players really flourish on their home floor. I think we're going to see a rejuvenated Jason Tatum, a more efficient Jaylen Brown. Remember at the second quarter, he made a bad decision when they had a 2-for-1 opportunity. How about this for home cooking? They missed 15 layups or dunks in the previous game.
Oh, that's not happening at home.
You just
That's not
concentrate and you
happening.
finish those buckets at home. So I think they're going to play with a lot more enthusiasm and a lot more
But
productivity.
of course you're gonna trust LeBron. He'll probably get 40 tonight.
See, that
He'll
was-
probably get.
But I think, don't
it
you
won't
think
be
that was the
enough.
question, though, is do you trust LeBron, meaning do you trust LeBron to get enough done that his team walks away with a win tonight?
See, I didn't. I answered it
You
just
took it
to you.
literally.
I did because
Why?
I actually feel like
He actually
the Boston Celtics have the
has
advantage
intelligence.
tonight. I feel like they have the advantage tonight.
Okay.
But I trust LeBron James more than I trust this team that don't have a lot of
This
experience.
team that hasn't lost at home in the
No,
playoffs.
they haven't.
You don't trust them right there.
No, not more than LeBron James.
You're not.
Not more than LeBron James.
Of course he's gonna play well. When has he not played well?
He's going to play well.
Yeah. Can you tell him what the question was?
I got to be honest with you. I feel like I'm siding over here.
Yeah,
but that's
because I feel like you're taking it literally. Like LeBron's going to.
How am I supposed to take a question?
Well, it's just.
Let me read this question. Should I read this question?
Okay, here's the deal. If we were in a court right now, I would be telling you I would win this argument.
But when we say LeBron, you're going with LeBron to lead them to the victory.
Cavs.
And the Cavs.
Oh, boy, I tell you.
Phillips,
I mean, you'll take LeBron anywhere, right? But do you trust LeBron to carry them to the win tonight in Boston? Yes or no?
So are we changing the question?
Yes or no?
I just answered the question.
Both of you Renaissance individuals that have seen so many different movies and allow your personalities to flourish. You guys know about storylines. Y'all see what's happening right now.
No.
LeBron James Game 7 at the Boston Garden.
I'll take it.
That's what this is lining up for.
That's
lining up for the Celtics to play well.
Oh, you don't want to see him in Game 7, but you want to see him in a Game 5.
I mean, LeBron James, you give him one game.
So you don't want to see him in Game 7, but you do in Game 5.
I personally want to see him, and I have seen him. I'm saying this.
You don't want to see that man right now. Cut it out, Paul.
Okay, I'm 10 pounds overweight since my
this is getting
Of course I don't want to see him.
Guys, I don't want to get to the body shaming portion of tonight's festivities.
I can barely move.
TD Garden in Boston, where not only is the current win streak alive, but also where the Celtics have not lost, with the series tied 2-2 since 2005. For more on the game, we welcome in
Hey,
DB.
Okay, Doris, you're hearing these guys fight back and forth. We know Boston has looked very different on the road versus at home. What do they need to get back to tonight where they were before?
Well, I agree with Jalen Rose, which was rare when I was in your seat, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the young guys and how they were effective in games 1 and 2 here. And I'll start with Terry Rozier, because as Jalen touched on, the number of layups and dunks they missed, this guy in particular, multiple times in Cleveland, he was here. He just couldn't complete. Now, that's one heck of a play by Tristan Thompson, but I anticipate that he and Jaylen Brown, who just plays bully ball with Kyle Korver here at home, and the athleticism is apart versus the guy we saw who didn't take as good a shots on the road. I anticipate those young guys are going to play great here.
Well, let's just make it awkward and put a spotlight on one of them, because obviously playing as a team has been wonderful to watch, and they've done it well. But if you're picking out a guy that needs to step up the most this evening, who are you saying it is?
You know, believe it or not, I'm just really, my eyes are trained on Marcus Morris tonight. And the reason I say that, Michelle, is because I think he needs to defend without fouling, which was problematic in the last game. And I also believe when he scores the basketball, when he gets like 15 to 17, Boston goes to a different level. So that's the one guy I'm watching, Michelle.
All right, Doris, enjoy the game. Thank you.
Thanks.
Jalen, do you agree?
Doris has on an expensive outfit. She was killing them. I'm not mad at her at all.
Don't be under business like that.
I'm just, what's it, Boss Maine?
She got style.
Yeah, I see she killing them. Bow down. I agree with her. This basketball team that Paul Pierce, they raised Paul Pierce's jersey, look a lot different to me when Morris plays with consistency. Like, when he's locked in and giving them that toughness and that productivity, they are different. But to me, the anchor is Al Horford. They've gotten a lot of confidence in Cleveland by feeling like Tristan Thompson can slow him down. And based on that, he's not necessarily getting the activity that he was getting in Boston, not only from the post, but from three-point range, because Kevin Love was primarily guarding him. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. Can Al Horford be a difference maker? Of course, he's going to give you the effort, Mr. Big Shot, and the leadership, but they're going to need his points.
I'm going to be a little biased here. You know, I'm biased to point guards. I've seen Horford have some good moments. Brown, Tatum, they've had good moments in the series. I'm looking forward to Scary Terry. I think he needs to step it up a little bit. They picked on him a lot in switches on pick-and-roll situations. He's switching on the big guys, then re-switching and all over the place. I need to see him offensively be able to attack and go to work, because they really are picking on him. And he's not a bad defender at all. He's just giving up a lot of height and weight in some of these mismatches on the switches. But offensively, I think he has an advantage. He's very shifty. He has a coach that puts him in great positions, and we just haven't seen him have one of those big nights that we've seen in prior to series.
But you're the godfather to all of these players in the league. Can you talk to your young boy, tell him to hold his ground a little bit? And can you talk to the Boston Celtics about helping them when LeBron James takes 2 or 3 dribbles? You might want to help Terry Rozier.
We won. I mean, the Boston Celtics have won games where LeBron has gone off for 40 points. You know, that's not the issue right there. LeBron is going to be LeBron. It's stopping these other guys. You can't let Kyle Korver come out here and be dominant. He's out here getting 3 blocks, shooting lights out from 3. You know, George Hill's getting double figures now all of a sudden. That's the key to the Cavs team. We all know that. But to me, it has to be Jason Tatum. He has to go out there and be aggressive from the start. When he's going out there, he scores 20, 25 points. They're nearly unbeatable. You know, this guy, he's ultra talented. He's the one guy outside of Terry and, you know, Jaylen Brown to some degree that can get his shot off in the half court. And we know when it comes down to half court possessions, he has to be the guy to get them a bucket, especially if he's matched up with Kyle Korver.
All 4 of you had a different answer. That's impressive. One of those guys has to step up at least. The odds are good.
Yes,
In addition to home court, Boston may have another advantage tonight. LeBron is 0-3 in Game 5s against the Celtics, with the series tied at 2.
Didn't they win by 30 in Boston last year?
What about those suits? That's another advantage, too.
Oh, it's over.
That's what I'm worried about.
1-4.
Coming up, it was the close game we'd all been waiting for. We got to talk about it next.
They got Clay out there looking bad.
NBA Countdown is